I have followed a few people that I trust, and I trust are doing their due diligence and not just jumping in for quick cash. Like right now, if you wanted to just make quick money, you could probably sell an AI course and people would eat it up. Right. And there are people that have jumped on that bandwagon, right? They're the people that started selling toilet paper and making masks when COVID hit, right? You want to make sure that you're not learning from somebody like that who's really not in it. So one of the people that I follow that I actually was a client of in the past that I trust, that I think is a good person, his name is Chris Winfield. And he has been really diving into AI. So I've been watching him a little bit because he is just intrigued by it as well. And I'm watching for people that are curious, that are looking, understanding all of that, right? And what Chris had said, I was watching, I don't know, one of his stories or something, but he was talking about the future isn't about us versus a robot, right? So he said, remember how like on track teams, he gave this analogy, how you'd sprint against your teammates like in an individual race, right? He's like, but in a relay race, you pass the baton and then you root for them. He's like, that is what this is. And I love that analogy because we're like, oh my goodness, AI is going to replace everybody. They're not even going to be here in X amount. Like I was in the San Francisco airport and there wasn't a Starbucks. There was a robot that was making you coffee, that was waving to you. Like you were, I think it was like telling jokes while you were waiting. He was making like a gazillion cups of coffee at a time. There was no line. Like when you go to the airport, you don't even want to go to Starbucks because the line is 30 people and it takes forever. There was no line because that is how fast the robot was. I think there was like 2 robots and they could make several drinks at a time, okay? So people are nervous of that specific problem. They're thinking the robot is going to replace me. Now, in that situation, it actually did. But I think in most of our businesses, a lot of you have service-based businesses. I think in most of our businesses, it's not going to replace us. It's going to be one of the people robots, we pass the baton to. So I'm not looking at it as I'm competing against this machine, but I'm working with it, okay? So this is where I think this now becomes, Chris called it like the dynamic duo, right? And he said, there is no AI without human skill, which is why you might not be getting great responses and outcomes from the AI technology you're using because you don't even know what to ask it. You don't even know what it's capable of, right? Just like the same thing with your team. If you don't ask something of someone or train something on someone, you might never uncover they have that capability, right? So it's only as smart as the leader. Your AI is only going to produce or pour back out, right? What you can pour into it, which is why we have to gain the skills and talent to learn this. I am always preaching. If you go to my webinar, if you've watched my online, like my 3-day event, what do I say? That one of the big things we have to do as a CEO is learn new skill sets and new talents. And I am constantly acquiring the skill set and talent. If I want to make more money, I need to have more skill sets, right? And one of those skill sets I am really looking into right now is AI and really adding that to my every day. We have the upper hand and we can use it to our advantage. All right. Emotional intelligence, big picture thinking, creativity, critical thinking. These are unique abilities that are going to set you apart and keep you indispensable. These are skills that these robots have not quite mastered yet, right? I say yet because who knows what's happening. However, or I should say, for example, in my business, I am using it for writing copy for different platforms. So even though I'm using it to kickstart the skeleton, if I just grabbed what it wrote, like everybody would be saying the same thing. I'm looking at it to go, interesting, right? Like even this episode right now, let's say I plugged this right in and said, give me a podcast on AI. Think of all of the things that I shared with you that would never have come from that bot. I talked about my friend. I talked about the story in 2008 at the conference, right? I have shared specific, I talk about my mastermind friends, right? I am giving you specific things that like the bot doesn't know. And that is where we have to remember, this is not an either or, it's a how do I combine these two?